Good afternoon. This is Daniel Okinawa. I have another teaching I'd like to give on restoring Native American wisdom for cultural restoration. And it's on the subject of protocol, the protocol of honor. First Nations people were given the gatekeeper authority over Turtle Island. The problem is that when the settlers came, they totally ignored this gatekeeper authority, and they also bypassed the blessing that would come with it, with the exception of people like Roger Williams and Eliot and those that came from the Mayflower at the first one. There were two generations of honor and respect given at that time. Fortunately, we did have a translator with Squanto, and but then later that fell apart. The Western settlers totally disregarded this pathway to blessing and came to dominate and rule over the tribes, basically with manifest destiny, as you know, that we have been given the authority by God to dominate you and to rape your resources and bring back the gold to the Catholic Church so that Queen Jezebel of Spain could build lofty cathedrals in Europe. And so it was like primarily they came not to really treat us as human beings, but to get what they could get from us. And so they bypassed the tradition of protocol of honor, and they bypassed the blessing that could have been given to them. And so this resulted with a curse on the land and the Western culture as a whole. And so we're seeing that today. The Western world is disintegrating before us, and the environment is disintegrating, the water is getting poisoned, the Gulf is getting poisoned with oil spills as well as other waterways. And so we see the results of greed. We see the results of what I had termed in the past the Canaanite curse, which is to acquire and to gain at any cost, and also to be in control. And so that's where a lot of wars came from and so on. Example of gatekeeper protocol is, for instance, if I wanted to move on traditional native land somewhere, and I had some opportunity to buy a house or property, I would not even consider it unless I went to the elders and the chief and got permission to live on traditional native lands. And so I would bring a protocol gift, usually tobacco or sage, and to try to obtain the blessing and permission of the tribe. When I wanted to pray over Cherokee, and I wanted to pray over the flame, which they are keepers of the flame, I would not even offer a prayer. I went to the chief and got permission to pray over the land, and protocoled the chief and got permission. This is treating people with honor and respect. And I brought a gift. If I was asked to minister in a church on a native reserve, I would not do that until I got permission from the tribal leaders and the elders and the clan mothers before I would even teach in another church. Because I believe in the beauty and honor of indigenous culture and the protocol of honor. There's some other areas that protocol applies to. For instance, our physical bodies. People need permission to touch or hug or lay hands on our bodies. And that's violated quite a bit, even by the church. I will not even pray for someone and put my hand on them unless I have their permission. There's also the protocol of the home and family. You need permission before you come on my property. I had a group even of natives that just showed up without any phone call wanting to come and come on my property. I stopped them at the property line and said, you do not have permission to come on my property. you do not have the blessing. And so I did a long talk with some of the people there, because that's part of protocol. Doing a specialty dance. For instance, I do the Sacred Eagle dance. And so I went to the Lower Cherokee tribe, talked to the chief, Gene Norris, and told him I had that available, that if he wanted to see that performed in the powwow, that was up to him. I gifted him a blanket, and I just left it there. Later, at the end of the powwow, he said, now we're going to have a Sacred Eagle dance, and I did that. And of course, you're not allowed to take pictures or anything with the Sacred Eagle dance. And so it's part of getting permission and honoring and respecting tribal leaders. It's also part of protocol not to interrupt a meeting. When I was in New England one time, there was this young, brash native man that came from the Narragansett tribe, interrupted the meeting and insisted on having money and food given to him because he was a Native American, and he was upset because he didn't get that. Well, he was in the midst of several chiefs and everything. I believe that was a violation of protocol. You cannot do that. I had another man from the Lakota Reserve who was a direct descendant of Crazy Horse and Red Cloud, who, when I was invited to speak, came up and tried to take over the mic. I mean, that's a violation of protocol. Also, protocol is necessary to attend sacred events. For instance, the Green Cordon Festival is invitation only. Stomp dance is usually invitation only. It's a protocol results in respect, honor, and blessing. And so, one of the things that we have seen is because there's been a violation of protocol, basic authority that has been given to us by the Creator has been bypassed. And so as a result, we see the disintegration of the Western culture. We see our life support system being violated. We see multi-generational grief with Native Americans. And so I want to play a song on my flute just to sort of end this whole thing of the negative parts of our culture so that we can rebuild our culture the proper way. And I'd like to do a song called Tears.